little stone point pendant. All you're going to need for this is your stone point, your pliers, some 20 gauge square wire, and some 30 gauge round wire. So for this tutorial you will need a small quartz point. Mine is about 1.5 3/4 inches. You will need 3 pieces of square 20 gauge wire. 2 of them are going to be double the size of your stone. 1, 2, and the third is going to be a little over double the size of your clipped wire. So 1, 2, plus about 1/2 inch. Perfect. And then you will need some 30 gauge round weaving wire, about a wing from my fingertips to the armpit opposite of that arm is what I'm doing, if that makes sense. Okay, so the first step is to take your extra long wire, find your, not your extra long, but your long 22 gauge wire, and find your middle. Okay, pretty straightforward there. Okay, pinch it together so that it's nice and straight. Set that down, and then you're going to grab your 30 gauge wire and one of your shorter wires, and you are going to give it about put your stone in the middle, and from either end is where you'll start. So a little bit above the top of the stone. I'm going to give it 5 wraps. Actually, 5, 6, 7, 8 wraps. Pinch it together. Okay. Then I will grab my next short piece of wire and wrap it once like this, and then I will go in between them like that, and I will slide my next bit of wire up to it, and we're going to slide it down so that they're all the same length like this. Okay, then I will go in between those two and wrap the middle 2 wires together, and then I will go under the top of, or under the fresh wire and the other wire, and then I will do the top 2 wires together. What we're doing is the fern weave, so if you're familiar with that, that's what we're doing. So go ahead and do that for the length of your stone. Basically what you're doing is you are wrapping the 2 wires next to each other together and then moving up like a ladder until you get to the top 2. You wrap those 2 together and then you go back down. Okay, and then once you get to the bottom again, you get to wrap the same number of times around the bottom wire as you did at the beginning. So in my case it's 8. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then go over the top of the bottom 2 wires. Oops, that's not my bottom wire. Just undo that. Straighten your wires out as much as you can. Make this easier on yourself. So my bottom 2 wires go in between those bottom 2 wires to come back up now. Now my middle 2 wires come back up in between those 2 wires. Then my top 2 wires. And then we're going to go down, middle 2, bottom 2. Okay. Then your 8 at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then you're just going to keep doing that for the length of your stone. I'm going to check mine really quick. Make sure everything's where I want it to be. Okay. So now I'm going to hyperlapse this part so we can get through this a little bit quicker. And I'll see you when I'm done with this weave part. Okay, so all in all that took me about 8 minutes to get the length that I wanted. It's a little bit longer than my stone, which is perfect. So you can clip off your weaving wire, make sure it's flush so that there's no pokey bits, and that it's nice and attached. If you need to get in there with your pliers to make sure of it, then that's fine. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that you have this part up at the top. You can kind of bend it away from it, the other wires, and then this one as well. You're going to kind of bend away and give this a little bit of a curve so that it looks like this on the side of your stone. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the top wire and go around the smallest, skinniest part of your piece or your stone so that it can't slide up and out, and you're going to pin that into place. So mine's gonna go like there and get pinned into place. Okay, so just like that. And we have that area attached, and then you will take a bit more curve there. You'll take this wire, bottom wire, and wrap it around the back of the stone so that it doesn't fall out the back. Okay, like that. Then you will take this wire that is sticking up preposterously from the top and curl it in on itself so that it makes your veil like that. Okay, make sure your stone is where you want it to be, like this, and then you will start to take these wires and kind of wrap them around the base like so. Okay, so the stone isn't going to go anywhere off the top. It's not going to go anywhere off the bottom. This one, the bottommost wire, you can take and bring it to the front. And you're going to bring it over the front and give it a little bit of a swirl. If you need your pliers, go for it to make the right size. Clip it flush, gently push it into place. Okay, your stone should be pretty well secure here. What we're going to do next is we're going to push this longer wire up the back of the piece, okay, and take these two at the top, bend them together like that, and take the first wire and make a spiral, little swirl like that. Clip it flush. And from here you can kind of decide, I'm going to follow this upper swirl around to swirl it onto there. You could push it out and so it swirls around the stone. Totally up to you for what you want to do there. So I'm following along. I'm pinning right here so that it doesn't go over the top of the initial wire, and just keep pushing it along. It's going to be a little bit long. It's not going to want to tuck in where I want it to, so I'm going to clip it just slightly, just enough so that we can push it in where I want it to be. This is the part where you want to be kind of careful with your pliers so you don't scratch anything, but just slowly push this wire into place like that. Okay, now we have this wire up here in the back that's kind of just hanging out. So as you noticed, when we first attached this wire here, it's not, well, when we first bent that wire, it's not actually attached to anything. So the way we're going to remedy this is by taking this longer wire that we bent up along the back and attaching it into our bail. Actually, we're going to feed it up into the hole that we've created here and come back like this. Okay, we're not going to fully attach that yet, just get it in place, and then we're going to take this wire, push it along the stone, and we're going to attach this wire that we have free floating over here to that wire. So we'll give it a nice little hook. Bend it into place. Now that's going to be nice and secure, and that stone's not going to go anywhere. Now we can bend this down, secure it as well, so that everything is exactly where we want it to be, not going anywhere, nice and safe. And there we go. That is the end of that. Our stone is nice and secure. All of our ends are where they need to be. I would recommend work hardening this piece. To do that, I usually will put it in a rock tumbler with steel shot, and then the wires won't have the ability to move around, because right now you could, if you wanted to, bend these out of place, but we don't want to do that, so we're not going to do that. But here's our pendant. There's the back. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you were able to create something that you are proud of. If you want to see more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Bye.